Embracing cultural diversity.
Will a multicultural class of students demand more time, patience, and creative energy of a teacher than a homogeneous class? Yes, of course it will. However, it is a fantastic teaching opportunity for a great educator. A teacher who is willing to embrace cultural differences will communicate more than just the lesson materials. She will help prepare students for a citizenship in a multicultural world. In using the term multicultural, we are talking about the wonderfully diverse racial, ethnic, economic, linguistic, and gender differences that enrich our society. The percentage of non-Hispanic whites in America is declining and now stands at 63%, and our classrooms are reflecting this growing diversity. Part of America's greatness has resided in its ability to serve as a melting pot of cultures, and teachers are on the front lines of helping multiculturalism to continue to be a source of national pride and strength. There are three primary functions of teaching. Educators connect with their students through communicating the subject matter, pedagogy, and relationship building. They are the what, the how, and the why of teaching. What is the subject matter? How do you go about communicating it? Why do you teach? Great teachers excel at all three, and they do so with a keen awareness that they are addressing a culturally diverse student body. They know that to be effective, they must be culturally sensitive. Culturally sensitive subject matter. Outstanding educational professionals master their subject matter and have a passion for sharing that material with students. Their enthusiasm is contagious. Students who aren't particularly interested in history will be energized by a teacher who finds joy in teaching it. The truly great teachers also strive to present their knowledge in a manner that excites students of varied cultures and ethnicities. They incorporate multicultural information, materials, and resources into the subjects and skills they teach. A good physics teacher can reach across cultural lines by doing a little research and preceding his lesson on the Big Bang Theory with interesting mini-biographies on Georges Lemaitre, Belgian, Edwin Hubble, American, Stephen Hawking, English, Alexander Friedman, Russian, and pointing out that scientists from multiple cultures made important contributions. A history professor discussing church architecture in medieval times could touch upon how the pointed Gothic arch was first discovered and employed by Muslim architects in the 9th century. A science teacher discussing important inventions would certainly want to include the story of Mexican-born scientist José Hernández Rebollar, who invented the Excella glove, a marvelous creation that turns American Sign Language into speech. In being culturally sensitive while sharing the subject matter, it is important for a teacher to become familiar with the various cultures represented in her classes. A teacher can learn about students' cultures by having students write about traditions observed by their families, having students share artifacts from home that reflect their culture, having students research different aspects of their culture, tour students' neighborhoods and visit local community centers to learn about the cultural activities and beliefs of students. A teacher can also ask her colleagues, including teachers, janitors, cafeteria workers, and other staff members, for help in gathering information about a specific culture and inserting that knowledge into a lesson plan. Social science teachers can be a particularly good resource. Combining research with creative thinking, teachers can manufacture opportunities to share their materials in ways that make students aware and appreciative of their own and other cultures. Culturally sensitive pedagogy. The word pedagogy means the practice of teaching. It refers to the methods that are used in communicating information. Culturally sensitive pedagogy requires teachers to gain knowledge of the cultures represented in their classrooms, and then to translate that knowledge into their instructional practices. Pedagogy takes into consideration the physical environment created by the teacher's expectations regarding student behavior, and the teaching methods used by the teacher. In regard to the physical environment, posters, pictures, and quotations of famous people displayed upon the walls in the classroom should reflect a wide diversity of cultures and peoples, especially those cultures represented by the students in the class. As for their expectations regarding student behavior, teachers typically establish rules that reflect a white middle-class value system. These rules and expectations may be foreign to kids from different ethnic or socioeconomic backgrounds. For example, the rules for speaking at home may encourage multiple simultaneous speakers as opposed to the one speaker at a time rule at school. Once teachers understand the cultural norms practiced in students' homes, they can show appreciation for those norms, and then help students adapt to the behaviors expected of them at school. In a private conversation, a student can be told, "I appreciate your willingness to share your thoughts in class. Please remember that in our school, only one person speaks at a time." The teaching methods employed by effective teachers will differ in response to the needs of individual students. This practice calls for flexibility and experimentation upon the part of the teacher. Some kids learn best in small, self-directed groups. Others thrive in large class settings where they basically sit and listen. Lectures can be balanced with projects where students are asked to work together. Subconsciously, students tend to learn faster and better when teaching methods in the classroom are in sync with the teaching methods employed in their homes. Culturally sensitive pedagogy requires teachers to adjust their teaching methods accordingly. Culturally sensitive relationship building. In answer to the question, "Why do you teach?" the universal answer is, we love kids and want to help them become the best that they can be. Culturally sensitive relationship building is a key element in helping teachers to achieve that goal. Dr. Melissa Pearson is the Director of Undergraduate Teacher Education at the University of Houston School of Education. She says, "Most schools of education do a good job of helping prospective teachers master their subject material. They also offer excellent classes in pedagogy, focusing on best practice teaching methods. Very few schools, however, provide courses on how teachers can develop caring relationships with their students. That may be the most important factor of all. If we want our students to become successful as teachers, we must make sure that they are relationship ready." A trait common to outstanding teachers is that they ignore cultural differences and strive to build caring, respectful relationships with all students and their families. The most important task in culturally sensitive relationship building is to make sure that every student feels wanted and loved. That endeavor will have an incredibly positive impact on the horrific dropout problem occurring in most school districts across the nation today. In the 50 largest cities in the United States, over 40% of students drop out of high school between the 9th and 12th grades. Race and culture play a role. The percentage of African American students dropping out is almost twice that of white students, and the percentage of Hispanic students is over 3 times more than whites. Why are we experiencing this dropout phenomenon? While listing a number of factors, Drs. Lee and Burkham state in their highly respected study, most important, students are less likely to drop out of high schools where relationships between teachers and students are positive. Another study indicates that if a student has just one adult at school that he believes cares about him, it reduces the chances of that child's dropping out of school by 97%. These statistics should come as no surprise. Social scientists say that the primary human need is to feel wanted and loved. The likelihood of that need not being met at school is compounded by teachers feeling unsure as to how to relate to students from cultures different than their own. It is critical that teachers intentionally reach across and beyond cultural differences and make each student feel like at least one adult on the campus cares about him. Some schools in Dallas, Texas, have implemented a program whereby every staff member on campus, teachers, coaches, librarians, assistant principals, counselors, is assigned 10 students whom that staff member will seek to mentor and show care. Unconditional love and regard begin in the classroom. Teachers can reach across socioeconomic class and culture when they model the following relational behaviors. Learn students' names and call them by name in the classroom and hallway. Smile at students when greeting them. Give eye contact to students when they are speaking. Exceptions might be Asian students to whom direct eye contact may be considered disrespectful. Confer with a student privately, whenever possible, in regard to incidences of misbehavior. And never, ever humiliate or ridicule a student. The essential component of culturally sensitive teaching is letting each student know that you, as their teacher, care about them academically and personally. The second element in culturally sensitive relationship building is connecting with students' families. Here, teachers must avoid the temptation to evaluate the devotion of parents to their children in terms of the parents' involvement at school. In most cases, parents who do not show their presence at school care for their children as much as those parents who do. In addition to work schedules that conflict with school times, linguistic barriers, religious beliefs, and cultural differences can also play a role in keeping parents away from the campus. As for language barriers, teachers can use translators to help with parent-teacher conferences. If schools do not provide translators, other parents who speak the same language can be asked to assist in this capacity, if the parent is comfortable with another parent listening in on the conversation. Children should not be used as interpreters for their parents because such an arrangement upsets the balance and authority in parent-child relationships. Flyers and notes sent home to parents should be posted in languages that show sensitivity to ethnic diversity so that all parents understand what is being said. For example, in the southwestern part of the United States, there has been an influx of first-generation Spanish-speaking parents, many of whom struggle with the English language. In those locales, it is often helpful to parents to receive take-home notices phrased in both English and Spanish. This endeavor is another place where parents who speak the same language can be asked to volunteer in translating newsletters and written communication. In regard to cultural differences, the American middle-class culture that predominates in most schools may be intimidating to parents from other ethnic, racial, and social-economic backgrounds. Some parents may have had bad experiences when they were in school. Other parents simply don't know how to involve themselves in campus activities and practices that are foreign to their experience. In order to dispel those fears and doubts, teachers must make every effort to get to know parents and families and to become aware of any language problems or cultural expectations that will impact the child's performance at school. Getting to know students and their families gives teachers a tremendous advantage in addressing the particular needs of individual kids. Maybe Mary is lethargic and inattentive at class because she hasn't eaten since yesterday's reduced or free school lunch and is hungry. Maybe Kim never volunteers in answering class because she comes from a culture where it's considered disrespectful to address an adult unless the adult calls the child by name and asks for a response. Maybe Romero falls asleep during tests because his mother works at night and he is up at all hours taking care of a 6-month-old baby. Maybe Hakeem never contributes to class discussion because he is struggling with the English language. Getting to know students' families provides the multicultural understanding that helps teachers to avoid making erroneous assumptions. It is an important aspect of culturally sensitive relationship building. Summing up. Imagine, if you will, this exchange in the teacher's lounge at the beginning of the school year. Teresa, I just got the list of kids who will be in my classes. I've never seen such a bunch of crazy sounding names. Some of them probably can't even speak good English. Another year of my being force-fed the mixed salad. Yeah, Maggie, I just got my list of kids too. Lots of diversity. I'm thinking I'm going to learn as much from them as they will from me. It's going to be fun. One of those teachers is in for a miserable year. The other will combine outstanding lesson material, carefully thought out pedagogy, and intentional relationship building to help a diverse bunch of kids become the best that they can be. One of those teachers has a job, while the other is on a mission. Multicultural classrooms are the future of American education. Children and youth are going to be watching adults to see how they react to the mix of races, ethnicities, genders, customs, cultures, languages, and religions. Teachers who welcome and embrace cultural diversity will provide a wonderfully powerful, positive model. Here are some things to remember in embracing cultural diversity. It is important to keep in mind the what, the how, and the why of teaching. What is the subject matter? How do you go about communicating it? Why do you teach? It is equally important to answer the above, keeping in mind that the modern educator teaches in a culturally diverse classroom. Culturally sensitive subject matter is inclusive. It means incorporating multicultural information, materials, and resources into the subjects and skills being taught. The word pedagogy means the practice of teaching. Culturally sensitive pedagogy requires teachers to gain knowledge of the cultures represented in their classrooms, and then to translate that knowledge into their instructional practices. In answer to the question, why do you teach? The universal answer is, we love kids and want to help them become the best that they can be. Culturally sensitive relationship building is a key element in helping teachers to achieve that goal. In practicing culturally sensitive relationship building, teachers must remember to learn students' names and call them by name in the classroom and hallway. Smile at students when greeting them. Give eye contact to students when they are speaking or you are speaking to them. Confer with a student privately, whenever possible, in regard to incidences of misbehavior. Never, ever humiliate or ridicule a student.